DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health. By integrating the comprehensive animal health product portfolio of Merck Animal Health with the innovative technologies of All-Flex Livestock Intelligence, we are shaping the future of animal health, resulting in more effective solutions and healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson. We have a oldie but goodie, Dr. Chris Reinhardt. He's been on the show so many times and it's great to have him back. We're going to talk about receiving calf nutrition. Stay tuned, much more to come.
To spur performance and productivity in your herd, look to Bovalus Vision 7, powered by the proprietary Spur adjuvant, allowing smoother administration and fewer reactions for effective low-stress clostridial protection. And low stress equals higher weaning weights, a proven 14-pound advantage. With a gain like that, you're spurring profits too. That's what you get with the #1 clostridial vaccine for calves. Proven protection that spurs all-around forward progress.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Chris Reinhardt. Dr. Reinhardt is a ruminant nutritionist and technical services specialist for Zinpro Corporation. He and I worked together for decades at Kansas State University. Just great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun. We always get into some good stuff.
Oh yeah, sometimes it's worth your while to watch. Anyway, Dr. Reinhardt has been one of those people. We've done so much research together. We continue to do research together. And today, with fall coming on and things of that nature, I thought let's talk about starting these calves on feed. And Chris, one of the things you mentioned as we were prepping for the show was, we talk about high risk and low risk and ultra high risk and all that kind of stuff when it comes to our processing protocols and our doctoring protocols, but maybe we need to back up and do some of that for nutrition.
Yeah, the timing's perfect. I mean, we're starting to see it. Fall started a little early in some parts of the country, but temps are falling and cattle are moving and it's time.
Yeah. So let's get into that. Let's talk a little bit about how to classify those cattle as they come in. What are some of the things that we're looking for?
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with historical perspective. If you bought these calves year in, year out, you know what their expectation is from a health standpoint, from an intake standpoint, etc. But then maybe you haven't bought these cattle before and you got to start looking for the things that might contribute to either good outcomes or unfortunately bad outcomes.
Yep. And so if I was looking at low risk cattle, what would be your description of a low risk steer coming into a yard?
Yeah, probably short haul, an hour or two away, probably not extensively commingled with a bunch of other cattle to where they're exposed to new pathogens. And then weather, I think, has a lot to do with it as well. If you're receiving during real mild conditions, I think cattle can deal with a lot, but if you dump a 30-degree fall and rain on them, they just turned high risk.
What about previous nutrition? Bunk broke, water tank broke. Would that be something you would be looking at as well? They know how to eat coming in?
Yeah, that would be kind of a subtle modifier. If they've come in with all of the previously mentioned things and they've been fed at home to where they can walk up and drink out of your system and eat out of your bunk, that makes everything so much easier.
So then risk from that's kind of like buying a car, the base model.
That's the base model.
Now we start adding things on that increase the risk of those cattle, not only health-wise, but economically.
Yeah, you taught me years ago, there's health risk and there's a risk of losing money, and they're oftentimes connected, especially if we don't classify them right, and if we miss the mark on the categorization.
Yeah, the low risk cattle are pretty much cookie cutter. The high risk cattle are very variable in their health, and then very variable in their death loss, and that gives us the economic variance.
And the thing we maybe 10 or 15 years ago wouldn't have talked about is if I buy high risk calves, I'm going to spend a lot of man hours and time with those, which pull away from my ability to care for the rest, A, the rest of the cattle, and B, the rest of the operation.
Absolutely. Every time we look at, Del Miles used to say the more high risk cattle you have, the higher risk your low risk cattle become. And understanding that balance within your yard, your grow yard, your stocker operation is very important.
And your experience level. There's certain organizations that do a tremendous job with high risk cattle, and some maybe should stay away.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, folks, you're watching DocTalk. We have Dr. Chris Reinhardt on here. We're going to talk more about receiving calf nutrition when we come back. Thanks for watching.
We see you, working hard from the early mornings to the late nights and every hour in between. We see you. We see the pursuit, the desire, the effort, the hope, the goal of being a champion. And we see that you need a partner to keep your animals healthy and happy. With our countless products and quick and reliable shipping, together, we can do just that. To the cowboys and cowgirls, to the dreamers, we see you.
Success in the cattle business hinges on a lot of different people playing their part. From the vet to the cowboy and the nutritionist to the feed truck driver, you rely on them to get their job done right, and so do your cattle. Your expectations for the vaccines you use should be no different. Bimeta's cattle vaccines were developed and are made and sold by men and women in the cattle business. No smoke and mirrors, just real-world protection that you can rely on. Go to bimetabiologicals.com to learn more.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need, from prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson with Production Animal Consultation, a veterinary group here in the United States and globally. Dr. Chris Reinhardt, Technical Services Nutritionist for Zinpro Corporation, and we kind of got out of our comfort zone and out of the nest back into the industry, and we spent a lot of time at Kansas State University together doing research, and now we're working for you. We were always working for them, but anyway, talk to me a little bit as we do this risk analysis, right? And we have high risk calves and low risk calves. There's probably some differences in what people that are buying those need to worry about.
Yeah, the high risk calves, I'm a nutritionist, so that's what I focus on is the nutrition. Our number one concern on high risk calves is, are they going to eat stepping off the truck when they come in? And so we do everything we can. We bend over backwards to make the feed environment and the bunk as attractive as possible. Water, we talk about water. Do they know what a mechanical water is, and are they going to go there and get rehydrated after this long journey and things of that nature? Whereas low risk calves, especially like you said, if they've been fed at home, they're going to walk up to the bunk and eat whatever we put out there for them. And so that's a big focus for a nutritionist.
Yeah, I've watched some calves, and we always want to make sure we have something in the bunk when we put new calves in a pen. It's nothing more disheartening for me than to watch some new calves that have come in long haul, and they walk into the pen and they walk up the bunk and they're like, what the heck, you know? And so just some management practices for y'all. But so what are some of the things nutritionally that are different between these two classes of cattle?
Yeah, you had brought it up earlier. I should have mentioned it. What have they had before from an energy standpoint, from a protein standpoint? This summer was brutal in a lot of parts of the country, and through no one's fault other than the weather, these calves are coming in with very little nutritional background. And so we've got to pay attention to that when they come in and that's going to contribute to their health outcome.
And so when we say little to no nutrition, you know, that I don't think people understand that vitamins, minerals, and different things are all tied to a drought situation. It isn't just the energy or agrosriosis. It is energy, protein, vitamins, minerals. It's nutrition in total.
That's kind of what makes something that's can be really complicated. It makes it really easy, is the fact that coming out of a droughty area, and we could draw you a map, and it's a big area in the western US, everything is deficient. If they're skinny, they haven't had enough of anything, and we've got to pay attention to that.
You know, I was watching some of the papers on human nutrition, and just serum copper is indicative of malnutrition in humans. And so as we start to think about some of these things in cattle that are coming out of droughty areas, or cattle that are coming out of areas where the cow probably weaned the calves themselves because the cow couldn't maintain her body condition, we've got to put together a total package.
Yeah, pay attention to everything. We've got to get them to eat, we've got to get them to drink, and then we've got to get a well-fortified diet in front of them.
Yep, and always remember this. If I have two calves standing here and they're the same weight, and one of them's stressed and one of them's local and not stressed, they have the same nutrient requirements. It's just the one that's stressed has lower intake, so we have to fortify that diet more.
Exactly.
We're going to take a break here at DocTalk with Dr. Chris Reinhardt. When we come back, more on receiving calf nutrition.
Dr. Nels here, folks. We're super excited about this book on hiring. Have you made a bad hire? Have you hired someone you wish you wouldn't have? Are you looking to hire? It's a great short read on helping you in the hiring process. You can find it on Amazon, Kindle, Audible, or find it at drnels.com. Check it out there. We'd love to see you there.
As a stocker operator, your job is to turn forage into profit. With the right implant, you can. Revlor G improves grazing performance for 150 days, the same length as the typical grazing period. And it's dosed for stockers' maturity levels, adding up to an extra 23 pounds. See why Revlor G is the #1 choice in stocker implants at RevlorG.com. A withdrawal period has not been established in pre-ruminating calves. Do not use in calves to be processed for veal.
I'm Dr. Les Anderson. I'm a beef extension specialist at the University of Kentucky. The Alertus on-farm test has the opportunity to completely change the industry. A producer is enabled and empowered to be able to take the sample and run the test or tests at their leisure without scheduling anybody. And honestly, reproduction is the thing that we measure the least, and it's the thing that dictates profitability the most. The Alertus on-farm test will help us to identify cows that get pregnant early. It'll improve our efficiency tenfold.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need. From prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Chris Reinhardt. He's a technical services nutritionist for Zinpro Corporation and mainly handle their North American feedlot division, and sees a ton of feedlot cattle, and works with all the nutritionists in the U.S. And a lot of us as veterinarians. And you know, one of the guys that I go to for answers on questions. As for me, I know that y'all get confused sometimes. I'll say Iowa State and I'll say Production Animal Consultation, but they're both part of my life now. In a public-private partnership, still teach and a professor at Iowa State, and working in the feedlot industry as a consultant. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about what we want to put in that ration for the receiving calves. So I get calves in, new calves, and obviously it might even be for my own weaned calves that I pull off the cow and bring home to the dry lot. But what are some of the things that you look for in a ration?
Yeah, if we've gotten through that first 24, 48 hours and the stress period, and the cattle are comfortable and maybe they're now coming to the bunk, we focus on energy, protein, minerals and vitamins. And we've got to make sure that we've got a right balance. And you brought it up before. If cattle are eating 12 or 15 pounds of dry matter, I formulate that diet different than if they're eating 6.
Yep.
I've still got to get the same total amount of those critical nutrients into each of those 500-pound calves.
Yep. So let's start out with the concentrate to roughage ratio, because we have to start them out on some roughage because their rumen's not ready.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about risk level. In truly high-risk calves that just have no interest in the bunk, we typically, over the years, we've defaulted back to getting some long stem hay into those cattle just to restart that rumen. Water, hay, and rest are the 3 most critical nutrients for a high-risk calf. And then once they're over that and ready to start exploring their new world, then we really focus on what's in the bunk.
Okay, so we get some roughage in there. Now let's turn our attention to protein. And not only should we talk about the level, but let's also talk about the source.
Yeah, so the level, and again, back to intake, on the really high-risk calves that are eating 5 to 10 pounds of dry matter, we've got to feed a higher percentage protein than in the bunk broke calves that are really hungry, and I call them robust, right? They're strapping, they're ready to take on 12, 15, 20 pounds of dry matter. I can go with a lower total level of protein, but then the concentrate matters also. If they're not eating a ton of feed, if they're eating 5, 6 pounds of dry matter, I've got to get more energy and protein into that diet.
Yeah. So protein source on these calves that are high risk, that really don't have a functioning rumen, probably want to stay with a more natural form of protein.
Yeah, more very, very little non-protein nitrogen. Let's stay with, there's so many byproducts available. We can get a well-fortified diet to those calves.
Yeah, the byproducts, with those being 30% crude protein, kind of took the fun out of some of the ruminant nutrition stuff we do, right?
Yeah, it's in there to begin with if we've got the right kind of byproducts available.
Excellent. So we've got the concentrate, we've got the protein. When we come back, we're going to talk about minerals and vitamins with Dr. Chris Reinhardt. You're watching DocTalk. Thanks for joining us.
We are a start to finish yard, bring them in at 500 pounds and finish them out to 14 to 1,500 pounds. Max capacity is about 15,000. We begin with the end in mind, which that means it starts from day one coming off the truck. Heard all sorts of stuff about the generics coming out from, a few different companies here and there, but we started working with Viamida. What I like about working with Viamida is our rep. He seems like he's just one of us. He knows, he's been in the cattle feeding industry for a long time. He understands where we're coming from, what goes on in the feed yard. So we started implementing Macrocin last July, and we're using it as our first poll treatment. The data shows that success rates on BRD, they're equivalent to the other macrolites that we were using. We just feel fortunate enough, I guess, to get our hands on it, and it works great for us for a first poll treatment. It's what really jumped out to us working with Viamida, meeting with the rep. Macrocin's affordable. We finally got a product that everybody can afford. We try to do the little things right, whether it's from low stress cattle handling, animal welfare, how we work with the cattle every single day. That's something we really focus on, but when you've got a product like a Macrocin, it's just another assurance, protecting you, controlling your BRD from what stressors are thrown out there or what Mother Nature is going to bring to you. This industry, it takes everybody, whether it's working with the nutritionist, it's cowboys working with the veterinarians. Everybody plays a part, and we expect them to do their jobs, but also we expect, the drugs or what we put into the cattle to do their job too. And I think these Viamida products, they're proven that they're doing the job for us.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need, from prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley and Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson and Dr. Chris Reinhardt bringing you a show today on receiving calf nutrition. Dr. Reinhardt, Technical Services Nutritionist for the Feedlot Division, Zinpro Corporation. And, you know, as we talk about health, nutrition, and the interrelationships, you know, the big rocks are obviously the concentrate and the protein, the energy and protein of these calves. But now we get into some things that can really make a difference, we're finding, on morbidity, mortality with minerals and vitamins.
Yeah, really along the same lines, right? If cattle are eating a healthy dose of feed right off the truck, we'll go with a lower fortification level. But on these high risk and ultra high risk calves, we've got to up the fortification.
Yeah. So let's talk about minerals first. And I want to talk about two areas of minerals because we've worked on some of these projects. But the first one is getting a kickstart in those calves. And we're finding out that at the time of treatment or the time of high morbidity, high risk calves, that the zinc, the copper, the selenium, those types of products can actually improve the response in treatment.
It's phenomenal. It's been a lot of fun to learn these last, let's call it 5 to 10 years. We've learned the function of trace minerals in the immune system. Copper, zinc, manganese, selenium in particular are absolutely vital to the immune system, the ability to fight virus.
And I'm just going to be honest, I was a skeptic. I was one of those people that was but as we have done research over the last 4 or 5 years, and what we have seen with COVID response, patients' response to zinc, now I'm a believer, and I'm studying it, and we're working on projects, and so if you can turn me around to have an interest in this, you can turn anybody around.
Zinc is an absolutely essential cofactor in over 400 different enzymes throughout your body, mine, and a feedlot steer. And that's folds higher than anything we know about copper, manganese, and selenium. As important as those are, zinc is proving to be the absolute linchpin for immune function.
So after we see what the kickstart or the ancillary treatment with drenched minerals, the other one is getting it in the bunk.
Exactly. And again, the higher risk those calves are, we've got to make sure we're getting as many different ways as possible, giving them exposure to vitamins, trace minerals, as well as the rest of the macronutrients.
But not only, you know, there's two things. There's one, raising the fortification within the diet. The other one is improving the absorption of the product that's in the ration. And both of those are beneficial to that steer.
Yeah, we have a product called Avela 4, and we like to maximize the nutrition, the utilization of all forms, both organic trace minerals as well as the inorganic, to get the most to those disease-fighting cells as we absolutely can.
Yep. And then vitamins to wrap up.
Vitamin E, vitamin E, vitamin E.
Yep. We say feed 4 times the NRC recommended vitamin E level. Work with your nutritionist, but Dave Seacrest's work has stood for the test of time, and 1,600 international units per day versus 400 improved health and improved performance.
Yeah, these calves need our attention. Once they're on feed and up and going, they're kind of self-sustaining, but those first few weeks off the truck, they need us.
Well, I want to say thanks for you being on the show.
It's awesome.
It's always good to have you. Folks, thanks for watching DocTalk. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian and nutritionist. And if you want to find out more about what we do at DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Chris Reinhardt, and we'll see you down the road.
DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health. By integrating the comprehensive animal health product portfolio of Merck Animal Health with the innovative technologies of All-Flex Livestock Intelligence, we are shaping the future of animal health, resulting in more effective solutions and healthier animals.
Relationships are the foundation of agriculture. proud of the relationships that we built within the department and the industry. These are the people that make our worlds go round on a day-to-day basis, and they're the foundation of everything that we do. All of those relationships are built on trust and respect. We involve our students in the relationship building process by allowing them the opportunity to meet with industry leaders and professionals. We're the Iowa State University Beef Teaching Farm, and we're grateful to be part of an industry that's built on relationships.